Welcome back to another video. It's a Thursday evening and I've planned my whole week around going out and taking images tonight because the weather forecast was the best. The fall colors are at their peak, I'd say, this week around here, and I am so excited to go find another waterfall. I'm looking forward to getting a couple nice images this evening, hopefully of a waterfall. It's been raining quite a bit recently, so hopefully the waterfall is flowing quite quickly. But even of just water droplets on fallen leaves or a nice bright tree, I'll be happy. The trail I'm walking on is basically just an ATV trail, and it's quite nice, but I'm moving along at quite a quick pace because 2 kilometers in to get to the falls, 2 kilometers out, and we only have about an hour and a half until sunset because I was working today, so I didn't have too much time to work with, but I'm quite hopeful. Oh, sorry, I just saw another partridge. I've scared 2 partridges out of the woods since I've been here, which brings up a good point. That's why I'm wearing my orange hat, because it's hunting season and I don't accidentally want to get shot. Look at this. We have some red leaves. That's not really a nice image, but it's promising. The leaves have really changed this week, and there's a lot more on the ground now. So I think we have another week, at most 2, with really nice fall colors. And then we'll lose all the leaves and we'll be back to drab, colorless early winter, which is quite a tough time for photography, but I like it nonetheless. But it's difficult in that middle ground between autumn and winter when there's snow. Everything just looks gray and non-inspiring, but there's always images and compositions to be had, regardless, as long as you get out and get exploring. I can hear the river and basically see it. It's right there, although this is an insanely steep hill, and I need to get down it with all my cameras intact. Well, I've successfully made it to the waterfall, and it is quite impressive. It's nice. It's kind of like a slot waterfall, and we have some red trees, we have some yellow trees, the water's rushing really fast, and there's a nice vantage point from where I am currently standing. It's a little precarious, not super good for camera gear, but I'm making it work. But I have settled on my first composition, and I'll walk you through it now. So here's what it looks like on the camera, if it's in focus. But from here, I have included part of this tree in the frame, and then this one as well, and there's no gap between the 2 of them. So it adds a little bit of an interesting foreground subject, I suppose. And the waterfall is cutting through the center of the frame. And then we have a green pine tree on the left-hand side of the image, and then there's a yellow tree, birch tree, sort of arcing through the frame more in the background. And then the river sort of trickles off into the background even further. So I think it's composed quite nicely, and I'm shooting at just over half of a second, f13 ISO 160. That gives me the proper exposure, still maintaining a nice depth of field, making sure everything's sharp, and enough motion in the water that it shows how fast it's moving. And for the first image, I'm really happy with this. This is quite sketchy. This is way steeper than it looks. And I have to head down here. So I'm gonna pack up my camera gear, and I'll meet you at the bottom here for hopefully a better vantage of the waterfall. It is super pretty down here, but this is not a photography friendly place to hang out. I'm looking straight ahead right now, okay? Not a fun scramble. I thought about setting my camera up, scrambling back down for the footage, but I don't want to mess around with it again. There's wet pine needles, super slippery, nothing to hang on to, and I'll just be happy if I can climb out. But I do have a nice new vantage point of the falls, and I'm super excited to sort of work this scene and try and come up with some new compositions from here. as I'm standing here next to this beautiful waterfall, I just got a notification on my phone saying that the KP index tonight, which is basically the intensity of the aurora borealis, is going to be 8.5 tonight at my house, which is awesome because I want to see the northern lights again. But that means I might have to stay up late again tonight. 2 videos in one day. Maybe you'll see an aurora video next week. Stay tuned for that. I'm so scared. What I'm doing is, hopefully you can hear me, the waterfall is quite loud, but I have my 18 to 55 millimeter lens on, and I've shot 2 compositions now at 18 millimeters. It's about 24 millimeters on a full frame equivalent, or 27, I guess. And there's 2 things I'm trying to focus on. There's the rushing waterfall, and then in the first image, I have it framed up so that you can see as much of the colors behind it with none of the sky, or as little of the sky as possible. And the second image I framed up, I've panned to the right, or to the left rather, just a little bit more. And that allows me to get sort of this cliff face in the frame as well. And yeah, I'll share them both with you, and please let me know which one you like more. Well, I think I finished at this vantage point as well. Now I can go 1 tier lower, down to here. This section here, I was faced with wet, slippery, steep pine needles. If I go down there, I'm faced with slippery, wet rocks, but I think it'll be worth it. I want some more images. This is beautiful down here. I wish it was a little more easily accessible with flatter terrain for me and my camera equipment, but making do. This will also be a nice vantage point. Okay, I'll try down there first, then I'm going to come back up here, because then you can see sort of down to the ravine or gully on this side even. My lens is just wide enough for this scene. My lens is a bit wider when it's not taking video, when it's cropped in, but you can see the top of this boulder, you see the cascades running through the frame, you have a bit of this valley through here, and the reflection here. And I think, I don't want to toot my own horn before I get home, but this may be one of the best images I've ever taken, compositionally. It's well balanced, and there's enough interesting subjects. There's fall colors, waterfalls. I mean, it should be one of my best images ever. I have 35 minutes till sunset, and I want to be up this hill with all my gear before it gets pitch black out. Okay. Can't get over how pretty this looks. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I am so lucky to live within 12 minutes of this waterfall. And it's the first time I've ever been here, so whoa! I'm sure I'll come back. Apologize if I'm not totally in frame here, but I don't have the most room to work with on this little rock here. But the light is fading very fast. I know it doesn't look like it, but that's the shame of the DJI Action 4. Low light is so good, it makes me look like I'm fibbing. But I promise, it is 16 minutes till sunset, and it's not that bright outside. But where I am now, I'm closer to the log that I've been hopping over, and that's been in some of my other images. I have more of a direct line of sight with the waterfall now, and depending on the focal length I shoot with and portrait versus landscape, I think I can get a couple different images, some similar to before, focusing more on the bright colors that are sort of upriver from where I am, and then maybe a couple others where there's more rocks in the image, or you can see more of the gully down my left-hand side here. But regardless, I think, how can I say no to this waterfall? This waterfall is definitely my main subject here. The first composition I've settled on, the log is in the foreground, like I just mentioned. The waterfall is cutting through the right-hand side and sort of the middle of the frame, some rocks on the left, and with some of the nice yellows and oranges in the background. And at first, I was a little worried about the log because it ends in the frame. So like right, oops, wrong way. Nope, also wrong way, right? Nope, right there, yeah, right there. The log ends. So it kind of separates the frame and doesn't run all the way off. And at first, I was a little worried that it wouldn't look super pleasing, but it kind of blends into the rocks and it creates a nice little pool of water in the bottom middle of the frame as well. So I think it actually works quite well. And similar to all the other shots I've taken so far this evening, it's about a second exposure, f13, ISO 160. And yeah, can't do much better than this. Well, now I just need to get out of here without hurting myself. All of my stuff is packed up now, with the exception of you, and I'll pack you up back in there in a minute as well before I scramble up this ridiculously steep, slippery hill. But this has been great. I hope you enjoyed some of the images. Let me know which ones your favorite were in the comments, and I'll wave goodbye to the waterfall. And till next time,